Hey everyone, it's Penny Rogers from Our Crazy Adventures in Autism Land. Today we're going to talk about self-care is not selfish. Taking care of yourself we often feel is selfish. We think that we have to put everybody's needs before our own. It makes you a better mom, makes you a better wife, makes you a better person if you take time out of your day to take care of yourself. It doesn't have to mean long bubble baths and 5-day weekend getaways, especially as I'm a special needs mom, so that's never going to happen. So I'm just gonna show you some small changes in your life, from how you can schedule better, to reading a few minutes a day. Just a couple things to go ahead and get you rejuvenated, motivated to finish the day. Because some days you really do need motivation just to finish. So let's move on and make this the year of the best you. So let's start out talking about why we need to make time for self-care. I love this meme. It's been a rough week, me in the middle of a Tuesday, because that's Mondays and Tuesdays are not my favorite days. I always feel better toward the end of the week when I kind of have a flow going. So if I don't take time for self-care on Monday and Tuesday, I'll never get to Friday. It happens that way. So we need to make time for self-care, to motivate you to get through the day, as I talked about earlier. Sometimes it's to motivate you to get through the week or through the lesson or whatever you need to get through, but it really helps motivate you to continue. It staves off depression and anxiety, two things that are pretty common in homeschooling moms who or stay-at-home moms or moms in general, because we have so many pressures on us that it's really easy to get depressed if you don't take time out for yourself. Self-care gives you a chance to breathe, relax, and regroup. It helps you to see a situation in a clearer frame of mind so that you can come up with solutions. And it helps put you in a better mood, which literally helps everyone around you. My family can tell you when I have not been taking time for myself, just based on my mood, because I start to feel overwhelmed, which means I start to get snippy and I start to just be not a nice mom. And so that's when they know that they need to remind me to do my self-care. So it is a vital, essential part of a healthy mental health plan, and I'm hopeful that every one of you have a mental health plan that just are ways that that work for you to stave off the depression and the anxiety, just to keep you in a happy place. You don't have to be happy all the time, because that's just not a reasonable goal. But there are things, you should have a plan in place of things that when you feel overwhelmed or depressed and things like that, that can sort of refocus you. Self-care will keep you happier and healthier. And we all want that. We all want to be happy. We all want to be healthy so that we can be here for our children and our families. And we are just better people when we take care of ourselves. So there's a reason why this particular slide is third. Before we even talk about how to do self-care or what self-care looks like or how to get your family on board, we're going to talk about all of those things, what to do if you're single. But you have to do this first. You have to remember that there's always going to be a to-do list. Every time I get my to-do list done, there's a new to-do list, because the week is over and it's time to start again. There's always going to be someone who wants or needs something from you, either your spouse, your children, your church, if you go to church, your peeps. There's always going to be someone who wants your help. But you have to absolutely stop and give yourself permission to rest. Super tough for me. I have to remind myself on Sundays that if I don't take the day to rest, then it will not be a fun Monday through Friday for the next week. So I force myself to rest on Sundays and watch football and have some family over after church so that we can eat together and things like that. But I try. I'm not always successful, but I try to take some time to rest that day. But you have to give yourself permission to do that. So once you learn how to give yourself permission to rest, self-care will pretty much take care of itself because you've done the major hurdle. Everything, the people can wait, the to-do list can wait, everything can wait. Your mental health cannot. And if you don't rest, you will get overwhelmed and burnt out, and then you are of no use to anyone. So that's why I say to everyone that it's essential that you do some sort of self-care, because if you're overwhelmed and exhausted and burnt out, you're not helping your family. You're not helping your husband. You're not helping, your friends. You can't help anybody at that point. So, and no one wants to be around you. So the number one thing you're going to do is you're going to give yourself permission to rest at least one day a week, I suggest. But if you can't do a whole day in a week, just give yourself permission to rest, for 5 minutes on a day or whatever. But just it's a mental roadblock that most people have, that you always have to be doing something. So take some time to decide that you're going to rest, and it's okay. So now that we have permission to rest, let's talk about what self-care looks like. Let's stop believing the myth that self-care has to be long weekends away from your children, 3-hour bubble baths. Everybody needs to leave you alone just for hours and hours on end. Because if you have young children, if you have special needs children, if you have, an actual family, that's just, it's not feasible to do that. And self-care is not going to help you if you only do it like once a year, which is what a long weekend, once or twice a year. And who has time for 3-hour bubble baths? I don't know about you, but every time I'm in the bubble bath, all I can think about is my to-do list and how I'm wasting time. So it doesn't have to be those things to take care of you. The best self-care routine is simple. Just some simple things that we're going to talk about in a little bit that you're able to do on a regular basis, like read a book. Just we're gonna, something simple that rejuvenates you, that just relaxes you and helps reset. Don't underestimate the power of simple things making a powerful difference. A great simple thing would be having your kids do the dishes one night, even though they don't do it right. And you're probably going to have to rewash them the next day. But if you let them do the dishes so that you can read a chapter in your book, you're able to reset and refocus, and it's okay. So don't underestimate that simple things like that can help you to be a better mom, or a better person. And small things done consistently lead to better results than 2 times a year getting a long weekend away, or getting a 3-hour bubble bath, every other month. Though if you can do small things on a regular basis, like daily, you will have a much better result than trying to cram a whole year's worth of self-care into a weekend, or 3 hours or 5 hours, whatever you get. So now that we know what self-care looks like, we've given ourselves permission to rest, we know why we should do self-care, let's talk about getting our family involved. You don't necessarily need your family's permission to do it, so that's not what I'm trying to say here. I'm just saying that if your family is on board with making sure that self-care is a priority for you, that they will help to remind you to do it. Remember, I said earlier that my family can sort of tell when I've not been taking care of myself, because I get real snippy and I'm angry all the time and things like that. So they know I need to go into the library and drink my coffee one morning and not ask me a gazillion questions. So my family is on board with reminding me to take care of myself. That happened because I did not take care of myself, and I ended up in the hospital, and I was of no use to anyone, sitting at the hospital for 3, 4, 5 days. And then when I came home, I was pretty sick. So I went all the way to I decided self-care wasn't important. And then I went all the way to the opposite extreme and didn't do any self-care. And it ended up costing me my health, and didn't do anyone any good, which sort of opened my eyes to sort of try to find a balance between self-care and taking care of my family. So My family knows that a happy mama means a happy family. Everybody knows that. So you might just need to gently remind them that by doing this makes mom happy, and if mom's happy, then the day is going to flow better. You should encourage them to make self-care a priority for themselves as well. So your children will learn self-care by watching you, and you need to be making sure that they're seeing it and that they're learning how to take care of themselves as well. We can always tell in our kids when they've had too much. It's easy. They all get whiny. They get all the cues. So those are great times to remind them, hey, it's super loud in here. Maybe you want to just step out and take care of you for a minute and take a big deep breath and relax because it's really loud in here for you. And that's okay. So we teach our kids that it's okay to do that by showing them that it's okay to do that. So I like to brainstorm ideas with my family to show what self-care looks like. We have we call it a bucket list on our chalkboard where we all put things up there that we want to do for whatever season it is, and it's a great way to bond as a family. But it's also a great way to sneak in some self-care in there because you may be like, hey, I want to read Oliver Twist this season. And so your family already knows that that's a goal for you. So they'll try to help you achieve it. And in helping you achieve it, they also help you take care of yourself. So you sort of kill two birds with one stone with that. When my family helps me to take care of myself, at the beginning, I had to be like obnoxious about thanking them so that they saw that it was important. So if your children let you drink your coffee for 5 minutes alone, make sure you say, hey, thanks for letting me drink my coffee so that I could sort of reboot for the day so that they can see that it's important. And then they'll do little tasks like that to help you out. Involve your children and your family, your husband, in meal planning, taking care of the house, cooking, things that we always think of as moms that make our lives easier, but really it makes the family's life easier. So the family should be doing it. So take a look at some things that you're doing yourself that you might could delegate to other people, or you might could involve the rest of the family in doing as well. And you can, make fun family memories, and you can take care of yourself at the same time. Let's talk about what if you're single. Every time I harp, which I tend to do on my Facebook page or in my groups about self-care for moms, because I really believe it's important for moms, especially special needs moms, to be doing. Every time though I mention it, hey, what have you done for yourself today? Or what does self-care mean to you? I get the response, I'm a single mom. I can't do anything. I don't have time. No one will take my children. No one will. Self-care is non-existent because it's only me. But if you are a single mom and the only person taking care of your family, then it's even more important that you make self-care a priority because you will burn out faster and it will lead to major health problems, poor mental health, burnout, fatigue, exhaustion, you name it, if left unchecked. And that doesn't do anyone in your family any good. So my answer to that question every time I hear it, I'm single, I don't have time for self-care, is you don't have time. You can't not put self-care into your time. It's not even a choice. If you're single, you have to make it a priority, or your children are, they're going to suffer, and no one wants to see their children suffer. So if you're single and you don't need to know all about that, getting your family involved, which you still do, because if you're single and you're a mom, you have children, so you have a family, you can do all those same things to get your kids involved without having the spouse to do it too. But you have to remember that taking care of you is pretty important too, because you are the only person that they have. So it's pretty, they really want to keep you around. So you can get them on board with helping you out if you our kids want to help us, they always do. So you just say, hey, I need help with this, and then go on. Now you might have to relax your standards. I talk about that as well. If my kids are helping me out, I try not to critique them. I'm not always successful at that, but I try to take the job as done when they've done it, unless it's like a horrible job and they really do need to go back and redo it. But if they're trying to help me, I try not to critique. So you do have to lower your standards a bit there, but if you're single, you have to have a self-care plan. Now we get to the good part. I talked about earlier about getting your family involved. We're single. What does self-care look like? Now I'm going to show you how to keep it simple, because simple self-care, as I said earlier, done on a regular basis trumps big self-care done once or twice a year. So when I asked in my Facebook group for some self-care tips that other people did, so that I could put them up here in addition to mine, here are some examples they gave me. The first one's actually mine: hiding out in the bathroom or in a closet for a few minutes. I take some deep breaths. I mindlessly scroll through Facebook on my phone or Instagram. I find my secret stash of chocolate and have a piece. Just a few minutes, enough for me to sort of not, no one needs me at that particular moment. Passing out screens to the kids so you can read a chapter in your book or take a few minutes for you. We often feel guilty because our kids have some sort of digital device in their hand, and we think that we should be entertaining or teaching or doing something with them at all times. There is no shame in your game if you pass out a screen, a tablet, a phone, an iPad to your kids so that they can watch Paw Patrol or Dora the Explorer or whatever they watch. Those crazy game playthroughs that kids watch. Anything. There's nothing wrong with letting them watch that so that you can read, you can sit down and relax and read a book, or just sit down and relax and, again, mindlessly scroll through Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but just sort of, recharge you. Going for a walk is a great way to do self-care. Throw the kids in their strollers and walk if you can. This one's mine too. Sitting in the car for a few minutes just to listen to the silence. Yep, my family often walks in to the house when we get back, and I will sit in the car for several minutes after, because it's quiet and because I could take a deep breath and I can sort of recharge and reset before I walk into the house and hear my name again 150 times. So I highly recommend sitting in the car. If you have older children, I have older children. When Logan and Madison were younger, especially Logan with his autism, I would not have been able to sit in the car and just send them in the house. So if you happen to be coming home, if you have smaller children with your husband or your sister or whatever, who can get the kids out and sort of bring them in the house while you sit in the car and answer a text message or look at your email or whatever, and just listen to the sounds of silence. That would be great. But I'm able to do that now, even when it's just me and the children, because my children are much older. So that works for me. It may not work for you. Taking a shower, brushing your hair and teeth, and maybe putting on makeup. On a good day I get makeup on. The power of a shower, oh, that rhymes, cannot be understated. Just having a shower with clean clothes and your hair brushed and your teeth aren't furry will make you a new person. So if that means you have to get a shower before your spouse leaves for the day, then try to make that a priority to do that, so that you can be up and showered and you just feel better. We all know that. If the days we get up and we take a shower and we put on nice clothes and maybe put on our makeup and fix our hair, we get so much more done, don't we? Because we feel empowered. So that is an absolute amazing way to do self-care, because it makes you feel better. And anything that makes you feel better can be considered self-care. One person suggested, and I had never even thought of this, but it's a great idea, to step outside and just look up at the sun, breathe the fresh air. Well, don't look like directly into the sun. Just, sort of feel the sun on your face. I don't want you to go blind because that's not self-care. Breathe the fresh air and just, make a quick mental list of things that you're grateful for. Sometimes, many times, we need to remind ourselves that. Okay, so now that we know all, we've talked about getting our families involved. What if we're single? Now let's talk about the actual self-care ideas. This slide's going to be all about simple ideas. I asked I asked in my Facebook group for some ideas that they did that were simple, because simple ideas done regularly trump going away, trump just doing self-care, as I said before, a couple times a year. So we want to keep it simple so that way you're more likely to do it. So my personal favorite, hiding out in the bathroom or stepping into a closet. My coat closet works beautifully for this. For a few minutes, just to take a couple deep breaths. Sometimes I stand in the coat closet, yes, and mindlessly scroll through Facebook or check my email or answer a text, or don't tell my children I have chocolate hidden in there. But I do make it a point to keep the coat closet pretty clear so that if I feel myself spiraling out of control, I can just sort of step in and push the coats to one side and take a minute. It works really well for me. Passing out screens to your kids so that you can read a chapter in a book or take a few minutes to go to the bathroom or make a sandwich or whatever you need to do is an excellent idea. We often think as moms that we need to always be entertaining our children or teaching them, or they shouldn't have screens in their hands 24/7, and they shouldn't. But there is no shame in letting your child have a screen, your phone, his iPad, a tablet, his Kindle, and watching a YouTube video or Paw Patrol or whatever your child happens to like to watch for a few minutes so that you can take time for you. You're not going to give your child the screen for 6 hours unless it's a really good book. I've been there, done that. Um, I sort of lost track of time there, but even if you do, it's better that you're refreshed than that they spent 5, 10, 15 minutes, an hour on a screen, on some sort of electronic. So don't feel bad in the very least for doing that. We often, that's one thing that moms will always say, oh, I feel terrible. I let my child have my phone just so I could, grocery shop in peace. Yeah, girl, you do what you gotta do. And don't even look at what other people are judging you for. If it gets you through the day, then I'm all for it. You could go for a walk. You could throw the kids in the stroller if you if you if you can, and go outside if the weather is nice and go for a walk so that everybody sort of gets some fresh air. You can, this is my personal favorite, sitting in the car for a few minutes to revel in the silence. When my children were much younger, I of course could not do this because I would need to have to help them out of their car seat and walk them in. And Logan had autism, so he was an eloper, so he would just run at a moment's notice. So you had to hold his hand all the way in the house. So sitting in the car was not an option unless my husband or my mom or someone was with me, and they got out and took the kids in, and I sort of laid back for a few minutes. But now that they're older, we can go where we need to go. We can come back to and park in the driveway, and then they can sort of walk themselves in, and I could sit in the car for a few minutes and just like in the coat closet, take some deep breaths, check Facebook, answer a text or an email or something that needs to be done. So if you can, it's a great way to just get a few minutes and not hear any words. And sometimes not hearing any words is a good thing. The power of taking a shower every day is not to be underrated. We all know that when we get up and we take a shower and we brush our hair and we brush our teeth and we put on some makeup and we got cute clothes on, we feel better. We feel empowered. We feel like we got this. And so you get more done. You just do. So if you can get a shower every day, some days you can't. I acknowledge that, especially if you have young children. Some days getting a shower is the least of your concerns. But I mean, there's a lot to be said about getting a shower and brushing your hair and teeth, even if you don't put on makeup and even if you have on grungy sweats. You just feel better, like I said. So if that means you have to get a shower before your spouse leaves for work, then try to make that a priority. But that shower is going to turn your day around. I guarantee it. So try to make that like right up on top of your self-care list. I know it sounds really silly to say, "Oh, my self-care today was I took a shower," but it really works. And it's a simple thing you can do every single day to help set your day on the right course. One of my readers suggested that she just goes outside, she looks at the sun. Well, she doesn't look like directly in the sun. Don't do that because you'll go blind, and that's not self-care. They She feels the sun in her face, she takes a giant breath of fresh air, and she reminds herself of 2 or 3 things she's grateful for. Because sometimes when we're at the point of overwhelm or we're at the point of burnout, we have to remind ourselves that we're grateful for these children who just smeared their peanut butter sandwich all over the table. Or we're grateful for the child who just gagged and threw up over one garbanzo bean. Or we're grateful for the child who still hasn't finished her homeschool lessons for the day and it's 8 o'clock at night. So sometimes you just need to make a mental list of things you're grateful for to put yourself back in a good frame of mind. You could get up before the children to ease into the day, have some Bible study, do some exercising. This is so not me. I am not a morning person. So if you're a morning person, this will work for you. This would not work for me because I like to lay in bed and deny the daylight. My day, I am much more productive late at night. So for me, it would work better to work after the children have gone to bed than it would be to try to get up before them because then they just get a grumpy mama because I had to get up before them. So whatever works for you, you can, make it happen. So after my children go to bed for the day, I try to read a chapter in my book before I go to bed. Some days I am just slap wore out and I just go to bed. It's okay. Exercise is always good. Whether you do it at night, whether you do it during the day, whether it's that walk you took earlier, just some sort of exercise will always make you feel better. It releases the endorphins in your body. It just makes you feel better. So exercise is an excellent self-care. I'm not saying go to the gym. I mean, you can go to the gym if you want to and leave your kids in the gym membership or the gym nursery for a couple hours. By all means, if they have that and it works for you, do it. But, maybe doing, some cardio, excuse me, things like that, whatever works for you. Now, here's something that revolutionized my life. Say no to activities and obligations that you aren't able to do with absolutely no regrets. I have learned that when people say, "Penny, can you blah, blah, blah? Can you watch my kids? Can you do my laundry? Can you I'm just making things up. Can you make brownies for 500 people for church after church on Sunday?" That if I can't do it because I have, therapies and homeschool and work and all that, that I just need to say, "No, I'm sorry, I'm unable to do that at this moment." And not feel bad in the very, very least. So learn how to control your calendar and to say no to things that are going to cause you stress. It's okay to say yes to some things, but if it's going to stress you out and not be beneficial to you in any way, then learn to say no and just walk away without any remorse. So let's talk about we talked about some simple ideas. Let's talk about some outside the box ideas for self-care. Eating healthy meals is a great self-care option. It makes you feel better. You your body feels better. It's okay to stop by KFC and bring that home on one night if you need to feed your family. That's okay, but obviously eating healthy meals on a regular basis will make you feel better. Find your outlet, like writing poetry or painting, then make a point to do it regularly. When I say find your outlet, it's something that you like to do. So, painting would not be my outlet because it would stress me out. So, something that you can sort of do mindlessly. You can crochet, you can knit, you can, blog, whatever you like to do, but make a point to do it on a regular basis. Meal planning, freezer cooking, and household organization can make a huge difference in relieving your stress levels. And self-care is essentially relieving your stress levels so that you can maintain a healthy perspective. So, meal planning and freezer cooking for me work really well because my daughter has dance 6 nights a week. So knowing what I'm going to cook so I don't have to think about it and having it so that I can take it out of the freezer and put it right into the Instant Pot or right into the crock pot or right into the oven just makes my day flow better. So for me, self-care is meal planning, doing some freezer cooking on the weekend or whenever, and maintaining my house so that those are things I don't have to worry about on a regular basis. Turn on the music and dance like no one is watching. I can't dance. Like, I pay for my girl to dance, but I personally can't dance. I can't sing either. So those are two things that I'm never going to do in public. But if I need to burn off some steam and just sort of, do something crazy silly, I will totally turn on the music and dance like no one is watching. When the kids were little, I would have them dance with me. It was so fun. I still have fond memories of that. They just thought we were doing crazy dancing, but really we were just trying to relieve the tension. I will drive somewhere by myself and turn on the music and belt out Hamilton songs like nobody's business. I'm sure that other people driving the cars think I'm crazy, but I don't care. It's for me. So, you know, ask Alexa or Google Home or whatever to tell you a joke and then laugh hysterically, even if it's crazy stupid. Most of those jokes are. They're not great jokes, but sometimes they're funny, and sometimes just getting out even a little giggle will help change your mood. I say phone a friend, but if someone phones me, you better be dying. I hate talking on the phone. So phone a friend if that's your jam, or shoot a text to someone. I'm more likely to answer you if you shoot me a text, or if I just need to point out that my family is driving me crazy to my bestie, I will totally shoot her a text. So whatever works for you, do it. And a random act of kindness. Again, I apologize. I have a terrible cold. A random act of kindness will often reset your perspective because it will remind you that you really don't have it as bad as you think you do, and that other people may have it worse, or you are far more blessed than you realize. So when I am just spiraling out of control, I will try to do something for someone else. Um, and it sounds really selfish to say this, but I will do something for someone else so that it helps me refocus my perspective and makes me feel good. So they get the benefit of me doing it, and I get the benefit of self care. So there you have it. I hope you've learned that self-care is not selfish at all, that it doesn't have to be this elaborate plan, that you can do simple little things throughout your day to take care of yourself, but that it's highly important that you do something. I like to recommend that you do something for you every single day. If that's not if that's not feasible, then do something for you once a week or do something for you every other day. But make you a priority because when you take care of you, then you also take care of your family and your friends and your children, and it makes you a better person. So, um, So I hope that's what you've learned. Feel free to leave comments and ask me questions. I'd love to answer them. If you go, I have a Rebooting You video series with workbook where I take you through 30 days of self-care so that you can, it sort of becomes a habit. You get to look at me on video, but I gave you a coupon code right here. You can use the coupon self-care to get $20 off. That would make it $15 for the video and the workbook. If that's too much and you still want to take it, please shoot me a message and we can talk, and I'm sure we can come up with an alternative. But that's how much I believe in self-care. I want everybody to take time for them because it makes families so much better when mom is better, and taking care of herself makes mom better. So thanks for joining me today, and have fun.